The story begins aboard a small passenger plane, heading toward the United States. During the flight, one of the passengers nervously asks a flight attendant why the route was suddenly changed. She calmly explains that the weather on the original path became too dangerous, so the pilot decided to take another route over the Amazon jungle. Since there were only 8 passengers on board, nobody thought too much about it at first. But after a while, the entire aircraft suddenly starts shaking violently. The pilot notices that the GPS system has completely stopped working. Even the control panel refuses to respond. He immediately tries contacting the base station, but the radio communication system is dead as well. The strangest part is that the pilot already seems worried, as if he expected something bad to happen. While struggling to control the aircraft, he secretly records a final video on his phone. In the video, he says that after seeing certain suspicious things hidden on the plane, he knew something terrible was going to happen. Moments later, the aircraft rapidly begins losing altitude. Dense jungle and massive mountains appear beneath them. The pilot desperately tries to slow the crash by scraping through the tops of giant trees. After dragging through miles of forest, the plane finally comes to a stop. Everyone survives the crash. Almost everyone survives the crash. Who was not wearing a seatbelt, the flight attendant who was not wearing a seatbelt, the surviving passengers gather together in fear. The surviving passengers gather together in fear. Trying to understand what nobody else has life-threatening injuries. They quickly confirm that nobody else has life-threatening injuries, but they are horrified by what they see. 2 passengers rush into the cockpit. Large tree branches have pierced through the pilot's chest. What they see. Yet somehow he is still alive. Large tree branches have pierced through the pilot's chest. As they carefully move the seat to help him breathe, he is still alive. They suddenly hear flames outside the aircraft. Everyone quickly exits the plane and works together to stop the fire, because if the aircraft burns completely, they will have nowhere to stay while waiting for rescue. Burns completely, they will have nowhere to stay while waiting for rescue. Once things calm down, the survivors try to figure out where exactly they crashed inside the Amazon. None of their phones have signal. Without a satellite phone, contacting the outside world is impossible. The jungle stretches for hundreds of miles, making escape on foot almost hopeless. Worst of all, nobody outside even knows where the plane went down, meaning rescue teams may never come. One passenger named Jack suggests that everyone introduce themselves so they can trust each other and make better decisions together. Jack reveals that he works as an insurance investigator, whose job is stopping insurance fraud. He was returning to America after finishing a case. Another passenger introduces himself as Kevin, a former doctor who now runs a medical equipment business. He immediately realizes that the pilot's vocal cords are badly damaged, which is why he cannot speak. But since the pilot may be the only person who knows how to get them out alive, Kevin believes saving him is critical. The third passenger, Christy, claims she is a traveler who posts videos online. However, when asked about her past, she refuses to share any details. The fourth passenger, Carlos, says he is a professional fighter from Mexico traveling to America for a competition. A young couple named Danny and Amy introduce themselves next. They claim they recently got married and are traveling for their honeymoon. Finally, a middle-aged couple named David and Lisa explain that they own a small hotel in America and were traveling because David needed heart surgery. After introductions, Jack suggests gathering all remaining food and water from the plane and rationing it carefully. After checking supplies, they realize they only have enough food and water for about 3 days. Jack also points out that if a storm hits, they may need to stay inside the plane for shelter. Whether there is a satellite phone on board, they move the flight attendant's body away from the aircraft to make more space. The group's biggest problem now is survival and rescue. They ask the injured pilot whether there is a satellite phone on board and what really caused the crash. The pilot desperately tries to say something, as if he knows a terrifying secret, but he cannot speak. Jack asks Kevin to perform surgery on the pilot, but Kevin initially refuses because they lack proper medical tools and medicine. Eventually, after the pilot's condition worsens, Kevin decides to take the risk. Using a kitchen knife, alcohol, and random supplies from the plane, Kevin performs emergency surgery without anesthesia while the pilot screams in pain. Surprisingly, the operation succeeds better than expected. Kevin says that if the pilot survives the night, he may recover by morning. But that night, while everyone sleeps outside, a mysterious masked figure silently approaches the wounded pilot and suffocates him to death. The next morning, everyone is shocked to discover the pilot dead despite his condition improving after surgery. Kevin confirms that there are no signs of infection, meaning his death was not natural. The group assumes his injuries killed him, but Lisa secretly notices signs that the pilot may have been murdered. She used to work as a nurse and recognizes the symptoms of suffocation. However, she keeps quiet because it means one of the survivors is a killer. Meanwhile, Danny secretly steals the pilot's phone after noticing it fell from his pocket. Later, he even cuts off the pilot's finger to unlock the device using the fingerprint scanner. At the same time, Christy discovers that Danny and Amy lied about their honeymoon story. Amy admits she is actually the daughter of a wealthy businessman, while Danny used to work as her driver. They ran away together because her family would never accept their relationship. Later, Carlos finds a damaged GPS device inside the wreckage. He believes he can repair it and activate it from the top of a nearby mountain so rescuers can detect their signal. Hope slowly returns, but things become worse when their food suddenly starts disappearing. Jack and Christy investigate and realize someone intentionally stole the supplies. Eventually, the group splits up to search the jungle for water and food. They discover poisonous blue mushrooms near a dirty pond. Christy warns everyone not to touch them because they are deadly. Suddenly, a gunshot echoes through the jungle. The group rushes back and discovers that David secretly had a gun. He killed a monkey for food because supplies were running out. That night, while everyone eats, another mysterious figure secretly uses a satellite phone hidden in the jungle. The person calmly tells someone on the other side that the plan is working perfectly. The next morning, David dies from poisoning. Kevin discovers foam around his mouth and realizes someone mixed poisonous mushrooms into his food. Lisa finally reveals that she believes the pilot was murdered too. Now everyone understands something horrifying. Someone among them is systematically killing people one by one. Danny eventually unlocks the pilot's phone and shows everyone the final recording. In the video, the pilot claims that the crash was intentional and that something extremely dangerous was hidden on the aircraft. Later, Carlos, Kevin, and Christy climb the mountain to activate the repaired GPS device. After a dangerous journey, they successfully turn it on and finally send out a signal for help. Back at the camp, trust completely falls apart. Lisa points a gun at Jack, Amy becomes afraid of Danny, and everyone suspects everyone else. That night, Carlos practices fighting alone in the jungle. Suddenly, he sees a mysterious figure, wearing his fighter mask. Before he can react, the masked attacker brutally stabs him to death. The following morning, Carlos is missing. Kevin and Christy eventually discover his corpse hidden deep in the forest. Fear spreads rapidly. Lisa then reveals that the bullets from her gun were stolen, leaving her with only one round. During a massive storm, part of the plane's ceiling collapses, revealing several hidden bags stuffed with white packages. Everyone finally realizes the horrifying truth. The airline was secretly transporting drugs worth millions. Danny recognizes it immediately as part of a huge drug smuggling operation. The survivors now believe the crash may have been planned to protect the secret shipment. Soon after, Lisa is murdered by the masked killer during the storm. The next morning, Christy discovers stolen bullets and a satellite phone hidden inside Jack's bag. Everyone immediately suspects him. However, Jack insists he is being framed and says the real killer planted the evidence. The survivors tie Jack up and torture him for the satellite phone password, but he continues claiming innocence. Meanwhile, Christy, Danny, and Amy discover that someone sabotaged the GPS device by cutting its wires. After reconnecting it, the rescue signal finally reaches authorities. At the same time, a government investigator named Claire begins investigating the missing airline. It is then revealed that Claire is actually Jack's wife, and Jack had been secretly investigating the airline's drug operation all along. Back in the jungle, Christy slowly realizes Jack may be innocent. She secretly frees him and helps him escape before the others can kill him. Eventually, rescue forces begin moving toward the jungle, but before they arrive, gunshots suddenly echo through the forest. When the survivors rush back, they find Danny and Amy dead from gunshot wounds. Now only 3 people remain alive: Christy, Dr. Kevin, and Jack. One of them is the real killer, and the truth behind the plane crash is far darker than anyone imagined.
Now everyone knows this is no accident. Soon Carlos finishes repairing the GPS device. Jack decides that Carlos, Kevin, and Christy will climb the mountain to activate it while the others guard the camp. During the climb, Christy notices Carlos chewing gum from the stolen food supplies, proving that he was the one who stole the rations. She quietly begins suspecting him. After hours of climbing, Christy nearly falls off the mountain along with the GPS device. Carlos and Kevin risk their lives to save her and recover the equipment. The act builds trust between them. Finally, the GPS device is activated. Back at camp, paranoia continues growing. Nobody trusts anyone anymore. That night, while practicing his fighting moves alone in the dark, Carlos suddenly notices a shadowy figure wearing his wrestling mask. Before he can react, the masked attacker brutally stabs him to death. The next morning, Carlos is missing. While searching for him, Kevin and Christy discover his dead body hidden deep in the jungle. Now suspicion turns toward Danny and Amy. At the same time, Kevin reveals that Danny has a gang tattoo on his back. Danny explains that he got the tattoo while falsely imprisoned years ago. He insists he changed his life after prison and truly loves Amy. Later that evening, a violent storm hits the jungle. As everyone hides inside the aircraft, part of the ceiling collapses, revealing several hidden bags filled with white packages. Everyone realizes the truth. The plane was secretly transporting millions of dollars worth of drugs. Suddenly, everything starts making sense. The airline was using regular passengers as cover for a drug smuggling operation. Danny immediately recognizes it as a major cartel operation. Now the passengers realize the killer may be trying to eliminate witnesses and take control of the drugs. Terrified, Amy runs into the jungle. Danny chases after her, while Lisa follows with her gun. Moments later, the masked killer attacks Lisa and stabs her repeatedly during the storm. By the next morning, Lisa is dead too. The surviving passengers completely lose trust in one another. Then Christy suddenly points a gun at Jack after discovering Lisa's missing bullets and a satellite phone inside his bag. Everyone begins believing Jack is the killer. Jack insists he only removed Lisa's bullets because he suspected she was dangerous. He claims the satellite phone was planted to frame him. But nobody believes him. The group ties Jack up while Kevin tortures him for the phone's password. At the same time, Christy, Danny, and Amy discover that someone secretly disconnected the GPS device. They reconnect the wires, finally sending their location to the outside world. Meanwhile, an investigator named Claire begins investigating the missing airline back in America. A shocking revelation soon follows. Claire is actually Jack's wife, and Jack was secretly investigating the airline's drug smuggling operation. This means Jack cannot be the killer. Later, Christy secretly frees Jack after realizing he was framed. Soon, Danny and Amy separate from the others, hoping to survive alone until rescue arrives. Finally, the Mexican army detects the GPS signal and sends a rescue helicopter into the Amazon. But before help arrives, gunshots suddenly echo through the jungle. Everyone rushes back to camp and discovers Danny and Amy lying dead on the ground. Now only 3 people remain alive: Christy, Kevin, and Jack. One of them is the real killer. And as the rescue helicopter gets closer to the jungle, the final truth is about to be revealed. The rest of the story will continue in part 2.